Shiv will ask. Shiv, don't ask.
Chat, somebody asked the meaning of akal. I just wrote timeless.
Yes.
It doesn't have something else.
No, it's perfect. Beyond time, actually. If Kal is time, then Kal is without time or beyond time. Oh, is today's contemplation is to blame for this silence. Flower sermon. What to do with it? This contemplation is most helpful because it is most hopeless. Most helpful because most hopeless. Because if you say to yourself, I've got this. No, you haven't. And if you say, I haven't got this, that's also wrong. So now you're stuck. Some of you may not have seen, so it's a very simple thing. So Buddha called everyone for a sermon one day. It's a very important sermon. I'm paraphrasing. A very important sermon. Everybody come. And he has a white flower in his hand, so he raises that. It's not even a proclamation. So what's he saying in apparently the most powerful sermon?
As you beautifully said, no matter what you think about it, beauty is beauty. No matter what you try to make out of your mind, it doesn't matter, it's just beauty is beauty.
Yes.
You hardly meet anybody who says that flower is so ugly,
Yes.
irrespective of what they may interpret about it. So
Okay.
it just is.
So let's explore that. So if it was an ugly cactus, is it a question of aesthetics? Of course, aesthetics are included. So here Buddha came and it was not the flower sermon but the cactus sermon. Ugly cactus that do not, no, but it's nature, so it's beautiful. Not even that, it's ugly. Then?
Same thing, but a little bit more subtle.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Perhaps nothing can be said about it in completeness.
Yes. But why would this sermon be so highly valued compared to all the beautiful words and the pointings of the Master?
To avoid the trap of thinking you got it.
Yes. And?
You can't get it with the mind.
Yeah. And? Okay. And?
Just come to pure perception.
And?
Yeah. It's like he told us in pure, to look at pure perception, and there is no the labels are wrong. Then what remains is, there's no boundary, there's no distinction, there's no just following. Whatever is, it just becomes more apparent. So in the evening.
And
They usually say this.
Huh?
They usually say this, Father. Those who know do not say, and those who say do not know.
And
It's like that your hand, you keep asking who is the one who's perceiving, you probably fall in the same question.
who's aware of the perception of this hand?
Does it mean that you do not get stuck in any concept?
Yes. And
Because it's so simple that.
Be asking the one who understood.
you have to find that one. Something with M. No? What is it?
I thought it was the one. You had to go with the capital O.
Poet. What's the name? No.
you answered.
Huh?
I think you just answered.
Answer. What is the answer you got?
Can only be felt.
Yeah?
Can only be felt.
Can be felt in a way.
Maybe there wasn't one thing great about that sermon. Maybe it's just been hyped up because the Buddha just held a flower and
Exactly.
everybody got invited.
But, and
Hello? Can you hear me?
yes, we can.
Hello, Ananta. I would like to open up about the pride, my pride, and like I have a difficulty with really dropping some of the attachments.
Yes,
And
please.
yes, and really I would like to ask for your grace and your help to, because I don't see anymore any other option to go fully to this God truth.
Yes.
I really feel no other option.
Yes.
And whether they be with my family or just some projections I have about how I want to use my spiritual gains for the future. And I don't know what exactly this is, but I even have this dialogue in my head like, oh, don't speak, be quiet, don't show up, and like this.
Yes.
And
So
maybe,
what is
full,
the attachment to self-image that we call pride? What is that? What is the worst case scenario? What would be terrible if it was to happen? That everybody would take you to be a fool, your family would take you to be a fool and not a spiritually enlightened one. Is that scary?
But in somewhere deep inside, I feel like I want to let go of inwardly with my family. I want to let go. It can be, maybe this is also part of this. Maybe this is scary to let go somehow.
Yes.
But also I feel some possibility inside to let go of it, especially when I attend your Satsang and at some moments like there is more.
Yes.
I hope my words are not dry too much, but because I know that this pride is sometimes hiding, like behind some knowledge, holding on to some knowledge or.
Yeah. So let's start with this.
Spirituality.
Let's start with this. So, if your words were fully dry,
Yes.
how would that affect you? I'm not saying they were, but if they were, You don't want to sound like someone with dry words.
Maybe I'm afraid that I will not keep up to the commitment, to the truth.
Yes.
If I really...
Yes. Yes.
That's why I often don't give compliments to people, because I'm afraid I will change my mind later or say that they are good people.
Yes. So, how is it that one can follow the commitment to truth? That's the fundamental question. So, you said correctly that I made a commitment to truth. I want to make sure that I follow it. How do we follow it? How do we follow that commitment to truth?
Maybe by being honest, maybe exposing what we are holding on to.
Yes, yes, okay. So exposing that to have integrity is good. But if I was to say you have to live in truth, or to make it easier, if I was to say you have to live in God's light, otherwise you haven't lived yet. You're just a walking zombie. If you haven't found God and you haven't lived in God's light, then it is a dead life. So if that is truth, to lead a true life is to live a life in God's light, in God's presence, in Atma Gyan, then what is the way to do that?
I don't know. Maybe to trust more and to listen to this inside.
Yes.
But I make mistakes because I feel sometimes I have some expectation towards my family, and I feel I have two choices: either to leave them completely or to not show up at their place.
All choices which show up in the mind are actually lose-lose. The mind creates alternatives where you're still stuck in the mind. I've given you a clue, which is to say that to live in God's light, to be with God's presence is the only true life. So first you can say, I don't know what God's presence is, so how can I live there? See? So, but if you say, I do know, then what stops you from living there? So these are the two things you can say. You can say, how to live in God's presence, I don't know what it is.
Yes.
You see? And the second you could say is that although I find God's presence, the Atma is within me, I don't know how to live in that because the world is too distracting or whatever the reasoning may be. So to live in the presence of God is to live in truth, to live a true life. You see? And it's as direct as saying that if God was sitting in front of you but you're playing computer games. You see? God is sitting in front of you but you're playing computer games. You see? Then would you call that a true life or a life of illusion, delusion, maya? And I can't talk to you right now because, my friends are on Fortnite or something.
Okay, it's no problem. So thank you a lot.
No, my dear, I was saying as a metaphor. As a metaphor, would you say to God that I can't talk to you right now because my friends are playing this game and I need to be with them? Or would you recognize the value of God's presence and then live from there? And from there, if the external action and outcomes are that you end up playing a game, that is fine. You see, but to be in denial of that and to live on your own terms is to live in the light of the ego shadow, in the shadow of the ego, and not in God's light.
like somewhere inwardly, I'm ready to. I feel this, especially you give us the encouragement to follow this.
Yeah.
And I sometimes feel I can write to even, because some people appear from the past and they show up and they still some have past inside them, and I speak with them and they say I can, even if I'm seen as completely crazy man, especially to those who have some inclination to Jesus, I say why not follow this completely?
Yes.
And even if I have no more like too many friends.
Yes. So the first question you must answer is God's presence palpable to you? Is God's presence palpable to you?
Often,
And
recently, often is recently, but
yes, but is it?
but I
Yes. Sorry, because we don't have video on today's call. That's why the coordination may seem a bit difficult, but we'll get used to it as we go along. So, what I'm asking is, if I was to say to you right now, be in God's presence, would it be simple, obvious? Or would you feel like, no, I have to return to an experience I had 3 weeks ago, or 3 months ago, or 3 years ago? Because we are done talking about spirituality. For thousands and thousands and thousands of years, we've spoken about spirituality. God is like this, God is very kind, God is very nice, will take care of you, God is your father, God is all there is. We've spoken everything. There's a Vedanta library behind, you can pick up books, and there are thousands and thousands of words there. But will all of this remain theory? Or will it become a true lived experience for us? Will we say, I have to follow the master because the master said God is like that, so I have to believe God is like that? But a true meeting with me is not possible with God. Most spiritual seekers live like that.
I think I've been for a long time. I've had this like completely different imagination about what that God is.
Yes. But what about now? What about now? I say live in God's presence now.
Yes, I'm a little bit like thinking sometimes of the job because I'm not working at the moment, or sometimes my mind would go to these concerns about like empty pocket and stuff like this.
Yes, but I'm saying now. I'm not saying usually or these days. I'm saying now. As in right now. Can we meet?
I feel okay, but I still know that.
Are you in God's light?
There is some holding on to something which is not easy to detect.
Are you in God's
Same
light?
here.
Are you in God's light?
I will say yes. Yes.
Yes. Now, what happens is, we are always naturally in God's light, but the design of Maya, the design of this Leela, is that under mental hypnosis, you see, which is under the identification with the thought, it seems as if you are not. It seems that you are separate, that there is duality. And no human being, and therefore no being of any sort, can actually say that, okay, I will believe the content of my thought in this moment and yet continue to not seem separate. The seeming of separation will happen when you identify with the thought. You see? So many times I notice that those who are spiritual seekers are trying to get mastery over their mind by saying, I should be able to believe my thought also and be with God. You see? Just like you can't board the aeroplane and live in the airport at the same time, you will not be able to do this. You see? And this happens because there is a lack of trust. If I give it all over to God,
What will it make out of my life?
this is the fear. This is exactly what I'm saying. You see, this is exactly what I'm saying. Now, every breath for you, every heartbeat to you is a gift from whom? Who gives you that gift?
Yes, it's true, but we sometimes don't value this.
Yes, my
Focus on
dear.
other
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. So, we cannot give ourselves one heartbeat and we want to run a life. The one who's running this even instrument called body, the one whose being is here, the one whose light all of this dream appearance is appearing. We don't want to trust that one, we want to trust our egoic identity which doesn't even exist. And that becomes the basis of the fear, and that prevents us from surrendering. You see? We create a compartment for ourselves saying, this is my spiritual aspect. God can run that, but don't get into my money. Okay, get into it only if you increase it. Don't get into my money or get into it. If you can increase it, of course, please. Don't get into my relationship unless you can get me the best relationship. You see? Don't get into the health of my body unless you can make it better. So we define the boundary on our terms, and then we want God as a genie, a glorious servant. And this is the bane of spirituality today. You see? So I went to this master for so long, I didn't get anything. You were supposed to have left by now. You. The ego is supposed to have left by now. If you have gone to the master and still hold on to the ego, then you have not really gone to the master. You see? But this is the condition today. Empty of mental hypnosis, God's light is apparent. All of you can say that you are here. You see? But the one that is here is not the one that belongs in your mental narrative. The one that is in your mental narrative has nothing to do with the one that is here. The mental narrative consists of a strange soup of body-mind. See, because we don't even take ourselves to be the body. If you took yourself only to be the body, why would you come to Satsang? Isn't it? If you just said, I am this body, I am so clear I am this body, then what freedom are we talking about? It's only death. This body is going to die. Or you should do some sadhana to become like, have this body become immortal or something like that. But in Satsang, nothing like that is offered here. In Satsang, a different kind of eternal life is offered. But that is not for the body. You will become eternal. You will find your eternal life. You will find that you are already eternal. But not the one that you take yourself to be. And not the character in your storybook.
Yes. But recently I realized I have many very absurd, like funny, like even about work, like I shouldn't have to work. Like that's such thoughts, you know?
Yes. So all these opposites that I should have, I should not have, I should be with family, I should leave my family, all these ideas are egoic ways of becoming more spiritual. You see? The egoic ways of becoming more spiritual, saying, oh, I should do that, I should not do this. As long as the protagonist is the wrong one, what are we talking about? And we'll talk about guidance which will come from your heart, God's guidance from the Sadguru presence in your heart in a moment. But for this moment, I am telling you that all these opposites, if they're just in your head, then they are not helpful. So let's return to the question, is God's presence here or not?
It is.
It is. If God's presence is here, then you must become a dog on its scent constantly. Not the most elegant example, but that is the dogged pursuit. If God's presence is here, but you are sniffing around in your head, what is going to happen? Only more egotism and more suffering. You see? So the instant you say God is here, then listen only to that. Why do you say, but my mind says? I know what your mind says. I am yearning to hear what God says through your mouth. But mostly, even upon the discovery of God's presence, because we doubt it, and in that way we doubt all of spirituality, we doubt our master's words, we doubt the words of all the sages, and we doubt our very presence. The instant we go with but, we say, yes, this can wait, the Atma can wait, but I will think first. What is it? Am I free now? What does this mean? You see? So we go to the individuality again, because we feel that there is no other way to live. So, firstly come to God's presence. If God's presence is clear, then don't leave it. And when you do leave it, come back. That's all.
Father, so when we leave the God's presence, just get distracted in the Maya, then for us to come back, the mind is like saying, okay, this you experience, this is how God's presence was. Now you should feel, taste it, like follow that scent. It's like that. So
what will happen is that you have two friends, okay? Two good friends. One is good for you, one is not, but both of them you are close to. One is very sattvic in nature. One is very sattvic in nature. You go to their house, they offer you some prasad, and there's an altar, and there's all of that is happening. And you feel like saying to them, I want to live with you. Can I just live with you? And that friend says, yes, you can live. My house is big enough. All of you can live. Then what happens is that you get calls from your other friend, who's very tamasic in nature. They just call you and say, come. You lived there long enough. Come, take a break. Come. Have a nice time. It's New Year's Eve. Come. Then what happens is that you go there, and in buying into that intoxication which they have to offer, what can happen is that they will also make you the offer and say, you're missing out on all of this fun. You see, I know there's some suffering for all this fun, but isn't this actually worth it? Can't we make this work? Come, I'll give you a room. You see, we'll try to make this work. See? And I know I did bad things to you in the past. I've led you down the wrong path. But now I'm reformed. Now I will only give you great ideas for your work. I will tell you things which will make your relationship better. I will not trouble you at all. Come, stay with me. See? So, when we take that invitation, know that that friend, quote unquote friend, is not going to give up. You see? Because that is what you take yourself to be what you consider yourself to be, is just a pawn in this battle. You see? What you consider yourself to be is just a pawn in this battle. So the ego wants to make a dent in God's light. But you are being invited back home. So when you buy into a distracting thought, no matter what and now we've taken various metaphors about how this works. Once you're on a diet and you break it, then you want to eat everything. You see, not just come back to the diet after you eat the starter. So it's very compelling that way. You see? That's why many people say that moderation is more difficult than abstinence. Many say that moderation is more difficult than abstinence. Abstinence becomes a habit, but moderation they find more difficult. So when you go back to the ego shadow, the ego, the mind, the voice of individuality is not going to give up. It is going to tempt you with everything it has. We will make this work. Best relationship, best money, best health of body, and maybe you can also become a satsang teacher and have people falling at your feet, and you're enlightened. Actually, you don't need anything else. You're done. What are you waiting for? So all these temptations and offers will come. But remember that represents one who doesn't exist. Because the one that it is selling to is non-existent. But God's presence, the presence of your being, is the only existent one there is. And if that is willing to guide you, then why go to another voice? If your heart is willing to guide you, then why go to your head? And when you do go to your head and you recognize that I am under the hypnosis, then rather than continuing further with it, return back home.
Am I still audible?
Yes.
So before I finish, I would like to say thanks to you for all these audio recordings and this whole Discord channel. I hope to continue to listen and apply these teachings.
Thank you, my dear. Yes,
Thank you
very
a lot.
good. Very good. Very welcome. Okay, so most in the human condition, for them God is a figment of their imagination or theoretical concepts which people have told them. And most have also believed that God will not be found by just anyone. You have to be 1 in a million to find God. You can't just get God. You are not somebody you can find. At the same time, everybody tells you God is everywhere. You see? So you're meant to live as if God is everywhere, but you can't find Him. So let's change that around a bit. If God is everywhere, what is the difficulty in finding? You see? The difficulty in finding is that we are addicted to two sources of knowledge which do not show you God. Addicted to two sources of knowledge which don't show you God. One is the source called perception. You see? God will not be found objectively as if it is a perception. You will not one day go to a special room and say, God, I found you. You see, this is it. It will not be like that. Because if that was just an objective discovery, then somebody would have found it by now and said, here, this is where God is. Because every object has a location. You see? So through perception you cannot find it. And no matter how much you think, you will not be able to solve it and find it as a wonderful idea. You see? You will not find it like a scientific discovery, like a mathematical equation. You cannot work in your head and come to the right answer and say that is God. You see? But in the world we are used to doing only these two things. So that is why the God which is everywhere we cannot find, because we are trying to use perception and conceptual understanding. You see? Now most would give up at this point and say, but I don't have anything else. What else do you have? You can't perceive God. You can't think about God. Now what other mode of knowledge do you have? और क्या है हमारे पास? सोच नहीं सकते भगवान के बारे में, भगवान को देख नहीं सकते, तो क्या कर सकते?
Find someone who knows.
Yes, but he tells you to follow, to look along with him or her. What is that looking? Intuitively. What is this intuitively? What is this intuitively?
It's to come to a true understanding of where you're looking from.
Yes. But also, it is distinct from the tools that we have traditionally used to try and live in this world.
It's the living thing, living intuitive means knowledge is dead, perception is also dead mentally. Intuitive is living something, living.
Yes,
trying to
that's a
connect.
good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. That living presence within you is the source of all intuitive insight. You see? Now, many of you may say, I don't know this. I have always taken intuition to be something that I'm able to predict. Or sometimes my mind gets a thought that this will happen and this happens. Yeah? Those things are fine. But right now, what do you know intuitively? That means without having to see something or without having to think.
I know that I am.
You know that you are.
And I also know that I'm shapeless and timeless.
Very good.
Because I observe them both.
So, this knowing that I am, did it have to wait for a thought? You know that you are after you get the thought? You just know. You see? Now, is this knowing that I am a body? We're getting subtler. Okay? So follow, take your time. That which you know organically without having to perceive anything or think anything, is it that you are a body?
No.
I know you know the right answer, which is meet it. You know that you are, but intuitively you don't know that you are a body. See if you can meet me here. You know that you are, but that which we take to be the body, the sensations of the body, you see, are perceived, just like everything else. You don't find yourself as something which is contained within a body. Yes or no? Are you just saying because I'm saying and must be like that? Or it has to become your own discovery. Yeah. So you know that you are. Now when you say this, I am, if it is not the body, then who is it? Huh? Is it limited?
No.
It's not limited. You can't find a boundary at least. Huh? Was it born? Wasn't born. Can it die? And if these questions are confusing, because many of you will say, I don't know these answers, then you must stay in the same intuition to let the question do the work, but stay in the same intuition. So, I am going to propose to you that this presence is not an individual's presence, but it is God's presence itself. We say Atma and Paramatma are one. So when we say this seemingly individualized consciousness is not distinct from the one being, one consciousness. That is what I am offering to you. That this presence which you have taken to be some individual entity is actually God's presence, it's God's light. Because if it was individual, then it would be limited. It would have been born. You see, it would have had desires. It would have had aversions. All those things that you have but this doesn't have. See? So, but that you cannot find. This presence, does it want freedom? Even freedom it doesn't want. Is it grasping for anything? Is it stressed about something, about work, about money, about relationship? Is it stressed? Don't follow just because I'm saying. You have to check for yourself. Your presence, it is a presence. You see? It is a presence. It doesn't want any of these things. It is not limited. So, after discovering this, and most of you are saying yes, how can you bother about anything else? There is an unlimited presence who just within you. How can you prioritize anything else? Till you have discovered who that is? How can anything else be important? And here you have a man who's telling you that that is God living within you. Now, if you took even 0.1% probability that that is true, won't this become so important to you? Even if I told the truth only 0.1% of the time, I'm 99.9% a lie. But I tell you that God lives within you with that presence, which you say, I am, main hoon, is God's presence. On that 0.1% probability, how much would you want to explore this presence within you? Would you not want to come to a true insight about this? I'm reminded of a time that we were living in Pune and there was a quiz in the paper, and then my dad for a change had a weekend free. So in the quiz, if you answered all the questions correctly, you had a chance to meet like Sunil Gavaskar or some famous cricketer. So he spent the whole morning doing that, otherwise very busy and no time, but he spent the whole morning doing that thing. This is for a celebrity to come to your house. And there's a chance, the odds of which could be lesser than the odds which I've just told you. And I'm talking about God. So then, what else? You have been introduced to the possibility that God is here. You have been introduced to the possibility that it cannot be just a theoretical notion now, you may actually find God. And I'm not saying you have to change anything in your outer life. I'm not saying you have to change anything in your work, your family, nothing. You don't have to change anything at all. But inwardly, till you come to a true insight about who that is, stay on the scent of that, come what may. Come what may. But what happens in more spirituality? We go to maybe a Sunday Satsang, a Sunday sermon, and then we meet a nice guru who tells us, yes, your life is good, you are taken care of, God is taking care of you, don't worry, be a good person, you'll be fine, you feel good. You go back home and back on your merry-go-round of life. Here I'm proposing something different. Here I'm proposing something different. This is not for you to feel good. This is not for you to find peace. This is not for you to find love. Nothing. This is only about God. And if those things come, then they come as byproducts. So, another way to look at this, because some of you don't like the notion of God. Say, God, I've heard, I've had a very oppressive childhood and I was forced to pray to God. I don't like God. You see? So I can put this to you another way, that I am proposing to you that everything that you have thought has been a lie. Everything that you have thought about yourself and the world has been a lie, but the possibility of finding the truth within you is fully true. And you can choose now to live the lie or continue to live the lie, or dedicate whatever inner tools or attention or focus you have to this discovery of that which is true. Because already you have the feeling that you're living a lie. You have the calling from your heart, calling you within, saying, there is something missing in this life that I've taken to be true. There must be a deeper life, a truer life. So whether you call it God or you call it truth, capital T, truth, this is the only discovery of that. Only way to come to a discovery of that. To find out what true life is, you must know first who you truly are. You see, because a true life will be different for a giraffe and a mongoose. Isn't it? A giraffe and snake, you'll have different life. You see? So if the giraffe takes the snake's life to be a true life, it will try to crawl on the ground. And if the snake starts thinking the giraffe life is the true life, he starts jumping and trying to eat the grass on the trees. You see? So before you can determine what your true life is, you must determine who you are. Even if the notion of God is not attractive to you, you must find out at least who you are. So that is a complete possibility for you. But you cannot do armchair spirituality, lip service stuff. You cannot say, I will inject myself with poison all day and then once a week I will take some antidote and I will be enlightened or free or live in God's light. And even tougher actually is that you cannot even say, I am in this so that once I find God, I will be enlightened. That part may be even tougher. You are in this because you want God, you want the truth, which are one and the same. You're tired of the lie. You're tired of egotism. You're tired of selfishness. You're tired of grasping. You're tired of the notion of more, 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 better, better, better. And you're trying to get to that which is the unchanging reality. But it cannot become in service to the false.
When you're in your natural state, you don't have to move an inch. There is no effort. It's so natural. You can't say, oh, I would like to surrender. Surrender? There's nothing to surrender. At that level, who is there to surrender? It's so completely natural. Nothing, everything that you do is okay because you're already in that natural state.
No.
Everything that, no?
I agree with the first point, but the second point, no. In the sense that if you're saying that as long as you're not buying into any idea of doing or taking yourself to be anyone, then whatever's unfolding, that's what you're saying.
Whatever's unfolding is okay.
Yes.
Because you never can move from that place.
Yes.
You're always already there.
Okay, let's hear more. Let's hear more. Because actually the Maya is very potent. And if it was true that I could just tell all of you, do what you want, it's okay, you will be in your natural state, nothing will change. The truth is always the truth. Yes, it is so. The truth is always the truth. Awareness is untouched. Beingness is untouched. But all of this satsang is so that the seeming suffering, the seeming individuality, the seeming desire, the seeming play of grasping, the seeming now dissolves and you come to rest in the truth of what you are. So, to remain in God's presence, to remain in your being and to not identify is very important, because otherwise the ego will use that and say, how does it matter to the truth? But it matters to you because you suffer. Something happens in our life, all this knowledge goes out the window, first to go, and we become shaky because we have not established ourselves in God's light. So this year, and it's coming up to say, but this year I feel to say that there should be 50 of us. There should be 50 of us who I can say that these 50 are rarely shaken by what the world has to throw at them. What the mind has to throw at them, what the world has to throw at them. If that 50 is 100, I'm happier. But the subtle difference is the whole difference, in the sense that for reality nothing has changed. You could spend your whole million lifetime not coming to satsang even once. Nothing changed for the self. Isn't it? But when you take yourself to be something limited, you take yourself to be a body, you take yourself to be a person, then the suffering, the anguish that we experience, then it's better not to put that in the Although, of course, it is within grace and within the ambit of God's will. Better to, instead of saying, oh, but that is also God's will, and if it's God's will, it is going to happen, come back home. Come back home. Find the Atma within you, the Sadguru presence within you, and don't leave that. Otherwise, we'll continue to have those problems like the one who came to Papaji and said, Papaji is that one, he came to Papaji and said, at your feet, Master, I am completely fine. But when I go into the marketplace of the world, I'm full of suffering again. Papaji said, why do you leave? If at the feet of the Master you are happy, then why do you leave? Papaji did not say, go to the marketplace and do whatever you want, it's all okay. He said, don't leave the feet of the Master. And obviously he is not talking about the physical feet. He is talking about the same Sadguru presence within you. Don't leave that. Even if you understand everything, don't leave that. If you understand everything, why leave that anyway? Don't leave that, come what may. Because this Maya's designs, we don't want to meet fully. And while it's true that nothing will happen to your reality, you don't want to go through all of that. You want to meet Maya's design fully, or you want to meet God's design fully? Who do you want to meet? If you had limited time, which we all do, who would you want to meet more? Maya or God? And does anyone know how much time is left? And yet, we have the ability to keep postponing. That's why Kabirji said, no, unfortunately this has become a homework reminder more than a call to God. काल करे सो आज कर, आज करे सो अब, पल में पल ले होगी, बहुरी करेगा कब. Who is he talking to? He's talking to you. He's not talking about your homework. He's not talking about making money and doing your job well. And he's not saying don't procrastinate things of the world. He's saying don't procrastinate God, because when death comes, death could be death of a body or death of the universe. It could come any moment. When you go to sleep tonight, there is no guarantee you're waking up tomorrow. Is it? So this day, how are you spending? And now that the possibility of God is with you, now you have no excuse. Now you made things worse for yourself by coming here. Now the possibility to spend your life as your Atma, with your Atma, then why would you spend it as a non-existent egotistical person? So before coming here, you could have said, this is the only life I know. I pray on special days. I go to temple once a week. I have led the good life which I was told. Now, unfortunately for you, you have caused trouble for yourself. You have been introduced to God within you. The temple is there. You can live in it. And there is no excuse for selfishness. So you can't even die ignorant saying, but I didn't know better. Now you know. Now you're stuck. Now if you take this medicine only half, it's going to be worse. Now you better either prove that I am not telling the truth. Prove it, I am not telling the truth. Chhod do. Or you're stuck. है ना? It cannot be that I have introduced you to God within you, but then you say I will continue to serve the ego, and yet I have led a good life. The only way then out of it is that he's crazy, leave. Then prove that. Say that that is true. Follow your heart if that is what it is saying. If God is here, then either we don't, like we think it's some other God, like some minor God must be here. No? We don't feel like, it can be Shiva's presence itself. Or God Almighty. We don't feel like it can be that. We must be feeling like, when we used to watch Ramayana or something as children, no? Then for these events that would happen in Ram's life or Krishna's life, then these minor gods will come and shower flowers. So we must be feeling like, some minor god must be here. But I am telling you that the creator, preserver and destroyer, rejuvenator of this universe lives within your heart. Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. They're all within you. The presence, which is your Atma's presence, is the presence of that God. And in the world, at least one thing you have learned, that you must follow one who doesn't want anything from you. For ones who want something from you, you can doubt their credibility. So one who doesn't want anything from you either must be fully crazy or must be telling you the truth. So God is here. Or prove to yourself otherwise. It's okay. Prove to yourself otherwise. But don't neglect this possibility. Don't neglect firstly this possibility, and for many of you it's more than possibility. You met it. You met it. And then to be serving the Master in our head is not in service to your truth. Don't go back into the mind's favorite version of freedom. I can do whatever I want. Now that I know God is here, I can do whatever I want. That's what it always wanted, no? Its version of freedom is what? जो मेरे मन में आया मैं करूँगा. You see? So this is not that convenient, Advaita. Nothing has happened to the self, so do whatever you want. No, there is a true life that you can spend in service to your intuitive presence, your divine presence. And even after the discovery that there is something deeper, greater within you, even after an awakening experience, you may return to the ways of the mind and make that into a spiritual ego without realizing it. What did we hear about Ravan? All are one. We are one and the same. Why should I bow down to Ram? All is one only. correct, it's true Advaita, but mental Advaita. So Ravan gave him the permission to do whatever he wanted because he was following knowledge but from the wrong place. Can your heart not guide you that you want to go to the mind?
Can I answer that question with the situation? To explore it.
Yes.
I was at the airport a few days ago waiting for my car to pick me up, and there was a kid, a 25-year-old, crying and gave me some drama story of how he needs some money to get home.
Home ticket, yeah.
I asked him a few questions and my mind was telling me 90% scam. So I said, okay, what do I do now? I just went into my heart and just said, give him the money, knowing that my mind is saying that I'm getting scammed. I gave it, and he was supposed to call me back the next day, and obviously he didn't. And I'm okay with it, even when the act was happening. But to your earlier point that you made, like, don't use your heart or your intuition as a way to win, as in, like, the outcome may not be favorable. So in this situation, I still don't know if I acted from my heart or it is like there's another form of the mind. One mind is saying give, one is saying don't give. So sometimes it's just, when I'm listening to you urging us to go to God, I don't know who acted in that moment.
Yes.
Like that choice that I made.
Yes.
I feel that it was my deeper self, but I don't know that.
Yes. And what is not important to determine at the moment is that. That it's not important to determine that. What is important to determine now is where am I?
I feel I did the right thing.
Yes. And also that right now, if I'm in God's light, then even these like things which may bother us sometimes, this probably doesn't. But suppose there was some choice which seemed to be bigger, and you made that, and you're wondering where did it actually come from, you can bring that also to God, and say, okay, now I don't know, but now you're here. You see, this is the beauty of one who's beyond time and beyond space. You see?
Yeah, so I'm bringing it up only as an example. It is actually not bothering me.
Yes, that's how I felt.
So that's a good way to go about it.
So remember that most of what I'm saying, if not all, can be applied right now, and not in terms of determining goodness or badness in the past, or the rightness or the wrongness of something in the past, but to turn it to that who's present here. Okay? Because the one who's present here has full control over apparent past, present and future. So, how to say like this? So suppose that in a particular play, that boy or man was a complete scamster. Now, you brought it to God and said, I don't know whether I did the right thing, but bless him and please guide me to follow my heart always. Then in God's light, there's nothing. He could become a saint tomorrow. He could be a saint yesterday. The one that you met could change. Is it? I don't know if I'm able to share that.
No, so that's exactly what happened in my self-conversation. Was, do you know that he's a scamster? I gave a probability of 90-95, but that 5% was enough for me. So I actually don't know. Since I don't know, I'm going to do what my heart does.
Now it's also very important to do when you do know.
If I did know he's a scamster, then I might not have given him.
No, I'm not saying you should have given the money, but to follow your heart even then. So don't take it to be that I can recognize and therefore I know the best course of action is not to give.
Got it.
We don't know because we have given, maybe who knows how it could have unfolded from there. You see? He may have gotten himself into some major trouble because of that. Maybe he could have felt guilt. We don't know any of these things. So even in spite of coming to a so-called good or true conclusion, we cannot be driven by that conclusion. We must also be willing to be completely irrational. And this is the scary part. This is the scary part of what I'm saying. It's okay when I don't know. I can follow the heart because I don't know. But now I do know. Still follow the heart. But I know 100% he's scamster. But my heart is saying, give him 2,000 rupees. Who's willing to be that absurd? That part seems scary to us because once we start following like that, the fear is tomorrow it will say, do this, do that. And this precious life that I've put together, you say, just leave all that. That can seem scary, but we must face this fear. Face this fear. Because one way to look at it is never about that one anyway. It isn't about that one anyway. It is always about this one who's having this dream. Tough.
What if there's a situation which your heart is telling you to do something that it's like bad for you?
Yeah.
Like if I'm a diabetic and my heart is telling me to eat dessert.
Yeah.
But my mind knows that it's bad for me.
Yeah. You'll rarely have that. I've hardly encountered a situation where my heart has led me in these kind of ways. But just follow. You have to follow.
So you're saying that it won't happen?
No, I'm saying it rarely happens from what I've seen. But it could happen, and when it does happen, you have to follow. What is Mama saying?
I'm saying your heart won't say that you eat ice cream.
Well, you can never predict what the heart will say. But I'm just reassuring him, saying that in my case, at least, I've rarely seen anything like that happen.
So
Where do we draw the line? You see? And that where we draw the line determines what we take lives in our heart. No? So are we coming to the discovery of a second mind, like a second intelligence? Maybe more intelligent than the mind, but makes mistakes sometimes. So then sometimes I can go to my mind and sometimes I can go to my heart. You see? Usually what will happen is that you will have more confusion about whether this is heart or mind. Whether this is mind posing as if it is heart. But you'll come to a point that once you learn that this is guidance from God within, from the Sadguru within, then it'll become such a habit to just follow it. But usually what will happen is that initially you will feel like, is this my head messing with me, pretending to be all sweet? And sometimes for some of you it's happened this way, that it starts acting like my voice. It's my dear child, like that, you must do like this and this. So what is the solution for that? How to have a foolproof solution? The foolproof solution is that you're being led to an insight into who you are. Okay? When that insight is available to you, because it is not possible to get mentally or perceptually. You see, when you are clear about who you are, then you are being intuitive. So how to check whether it is my heart or head? Is who I truly am apparent to me or not?
I'm liking the cheat method a lot more though. It's
Which is
just
the cheat?
to replace myself with you. Which is, I ask myself, what would Ananta do? And make it much easier.
That's provisionally okay. But my advice would be because it's important to face that fear, that discomfort. What if the heart tells me to do something which is completely irrational? Because even in that cheat method, you may have an idea of Ananta, like a nice guy, good.
But that feels way better than the drama with the mind.
Yes. So that's okay. So now even between what would Ananta do and what is he guiding me within my heart right now?
Yeah.
Is the call. because we have relied on our mind for so long and maybe for lifetimes, then there is bound to be some friction, some struggle as we are moving from head to heart. But it's important that we do that. It's important that we do that, even at the cost of what we take to be important or right or all of these things. So you cannot have a situation in which you go to your heart and then you find that you give in to your head, because the head will say, but this is too much. You see, this is too much. So what to do in that situation? You have to bring that and say, I'm being guided in my heart in this way, but there is fear. I don't know how it will turn out. No? Please help me in this. Allow that also to burn in the furnace of your heart's fire. So I have put two impossible things in front of you now. First is, have you found God? If your answer is no, then I can say, then what are you doing? No? Find God. We don't know when the end is coming. Find God. And if you say yes, then also, what are you doing? If you found God and you're living in your head, so I will not be satisfied or shut up till I see your whole presence erupting through you, God's light seeping through every core, every corner of you. Make me want to sit at your feet. Shine that much in God's light that I feel to bow down to you in service to the same light which is here. I'll keep pushing and prodding and chopping till we come to that point. But if you have some practical difficulties, which means that you say live in God's light or find God, I'm not able to find, show me. I would love to have those conversations. I love to have those conversations. I'm not just giving you the project and saying, do it. I'm also giving you the tools.
Wonderful. How do we, there are many times I felt, okay, this is the presence. It might just be the mind fooling around. How do you know it's true?
Yes. Can you stop being?
No.
Don't be. Try to not be. Don't exist. It's there, no?
I got this,
Yes.
Father, but see, as an exercise, and I go, do it.
Now stay with this.
Okay.
It's good, let's try together.
Yeah.
Now stay with this. You found your presence is here. It's that simple. Try to not be. It's apparent. Now stay with this. Which means what you have to do, it's effortless. I have given you homework which is effortless. You see, what do you have to do? Just what is coming, let it come, let it go. You stay with that which is. And I'm not even saying work on your attention, withdraw it from your thoughts, not giving you any sadhana, nothing. Just let these thoughts come, let them go. You remain open and empty. Head open, head empty, heart full. That's it. But what about me? Whatever you say after, but actually I hear only what about me. Nothing about you. You don't exist. That me doesn't exist. All good?
Yeah.
Was I too choppy? I'm sorry if I was very choppy.
No, it's good.
Is this me?
No, but-
Is the ego you are referring here?
Yes. You see, I am introducing you to your Atma. Mostly what I hear is, it's all good, but something, and that has to do with the ego. But what about me? The small me, the limited me. That's what I
जब
say.
हरी था मैं
Huh?
जब हरी था मैं नहीं.
Exactly. So when we want to give room to both, you see, that is where the trouble comes. We want both to have a coexistent life, but that is not what it is, because like you said, the lane is too narrow. These things are very literal, They are very straightforward what the sages have told us. But we have taken them to be some poetry.
This is that Prem Gavi Adi Same Dona.
All I've said today is that.
Yeah.
How do you put being open and empty into practice? Like how do you practically do it and remember to do it?
Yeah. So, when you don't remember, then you don't remember. Then it's okay, it's fine. But when you do remember, then it's simple. Open means allowing everything to come. You just allow everything to come. You're not resisting anything. You're not being resistive about anything. It is perception, thought. Allow. Open. Empty is that we recognize the nature of things that come is that they go. Is it? The nature of things is such that as they come, they also go, especially your thoughts. So remain empty, don't serve them tea. Tea would be to grab onto them as if they are portraying reality to you, as if they are conveying truth value about what is, but they aren't. You see, that's why last time we were just looking at what is this. If the thought had the capacity to convey the nature of even a perceptual reality, you see, then you could take it to be true. But it doesn't. That's why the Zen masters have told us. Keep the front door open, the back door open. Thoughts are visitors, let them come and go. Don't serve them tea. That's how to be open.
And then you mentioned that you can do this at the times that you do remember, and then when you don't remember, you don't do anything. So is there a way to get to a stage where you remember more and more?
Yes. The more you do it when you do remember, the more you will remember.
Okay.
You see, so why I'm saying that is because many times when we do remember, the mind starts bothering us about those times where we hadn't remembered. No, see, I should have done open and empty. Instead of doing that, you see, what we must do is now we remember. Now be open. It's very tricky that way. Because if you feel like you always have to do it, then there will be moments where you don't. And then the moments where you do remember that you should have, it will say, oh, you should have then, why didn't you? Then more tea is being served in that time instead of starting now. And then what happens is this will start to seem natural. One metaphor that helps with this is that suppose you've had the job of being a porter at the airport all your life. You see, so your job was to pick up bags from the conveyor belt. You see? Then suddenly somebody tells you, but you retired 3 years ago. You can stop. You can be here if you want, but stop picking up the bags. So then you stop. But because you've done it for 50 years, the bag is coming. You're like, maybe I should just help these people. So we go back because actually we are just used to it. We want to do that. You see? So what will happen is sometimes bags will come. So when I say bags, of course, I'm referring to thoughts. The thoughts will come about, I should not have done this now. It is not my job to pick up bags. Bags with those labels will come. And we still pick them up because we take them to be true. So instead of that, you see, just remember that you've been fired or you quit or you retired 3 years ago. You don't need to pick up those bags. So the conveyor belt of the mind just keeps going. Our education in society has been the opposite so far. It has been to try and make meaning out of life using that which has been on the conveyor belt of the mind. You see? But if you come to a point where you recognize that not one moment of truth is available there, then you can let that go and start to rely on a deeper intuitive insight. Nobody has come to this discovery and said, I don't want this, give me something else. Nobody comes to the holy presence within and says, no, I should have had that, my favorite chocolate, or built that great house, or got that special thing I wanted. That itself should be some reassurance to us. Although I'm not in a reassuring mode these days, but something is coming up to say. What is it within you that you can get, within you itself, that all this worldly grasping, it dies down? All the sages have told us, do you know that one also? Where the लाल लाल तो सब कहें, सबके पल्ले लाल, कांट खोल देखा नहीं, दुनिया में गया कंगाल. Everybody is looking for that emerald or ruby or whatever, and everybody is something like that. So exactly. So looking for this treasure in the world everywhere, everyone dies kangal without anything. But those who discover the treasure within, they are the ones who are really happy in this world. And that's enough reassurance. If you realized who lives in your heart, then you could never want anything else. But actually in your mind you don't have the potential to realize who lives in your heart. In your heart you do.
Just coming back to the topic of,
About that?
Just coming back to the conversation about the conflict in your self-conversation that you have about like whether it's your
Head
mind
or
or your heart. Do you have any like practical advice for people who face such situations? Like, is there a way to know
Yes.
how to act from your heart in that situation?
Yes. So that's what I said. The foolproof method, of course, is that when your true self is apparent to you, then you are being intuitive. Which means that you have the insight to your nirguna reality, which is only possible intuitively. So you're being intuitive because you are not able to use two instruments at the same time. So as self-knowledge is apparent to you, then you're just coming from your heart. And self-knowledge is always apparent to you as you're open and empty. It becomes seemingly hidden only under the hypnosis of a thought, under the hypnosis of identification. So as you're open, empty, who you are is apparent to you, and as who you are is apparent to you, your life is unfolding in God's light, and if there's some guidance needed, even in words, it can be provided from there then.
So will it then be like make a conscious effort to be open and empty in that
Yes.
moment?
Yes.
And then you like look within and you realize that
Exactly.
what your intuition is.
Exactly. For some time to come to effortlessness will seem like some effort. You see? It's like the porter example I give. For him to just chill now will take some effort because he's so used to picking up the bags from the conveyor belt. You see? So the masters have told us, as long as it seems like effort is needed to come to effortlessness, we must make that effort. It's very worthwhile. Very worthwhile to make that effort.
That reminds me of something that was happening a couple of days ago. I felt that it was my intuition telling me to apply for something.
Yeah.
And but when I got around to sitting down and writing all that stuff, no, it wasn't in focus, that thing.
Yes.
God or I am.
Yes.
I was just engrossed in that.
Yeah.
So,
But you can be engrossed, but were you of empty mind? Well, that's fine too. That's fine too. So you start to notice these things. Like when I'm working here, I'm just like working. It's just full working. God's presence, of course, is fully here, but it's not mental.
would you lose sight of God when you're working?
When the mind is empty, you can't actually.
So so even if that instruction came from God, while carrying out that instruction, if I lose sight of God, then it's better to stop the thing.
Yes, and return to that. So maybe that instruction came so that we could have this conversation. We can't really say, that's what I'm saying, we can't determine the goodness or badness of something. Only God knows in that way. The absence of being able to figure out the goodness or badness of something, you see, has two aspects to it. The first aspect is that the goodness or badness of something has nothing to do with me. It's not good for me or bad for me. It's only how God's light has to play, firstly. And secondly, we do not have the capacity to see this. Like there are examples, so many examples of so many wonderful beings being killed, Socrates being given the poison chalice, all of those things. And we can never, what is the point of guiding so many people to the truth and ultimately nobody in your society valued you and hardly anybody protested when Socrates was being given the poison chalice? And he died, but he's still inspiring people today. So really it has nothing to do with what's good for me or not. But the good news is that there is no such me anyway.
But many times your intuition tells you to do something, but immediately your mind plays a role saying, no, you should.
Yes, exactly. Many times, mostly.
Yeah.
Mostly. That's what I was saying. I have to tell you my but get used to living in the heart.
So, but that time you should listen to your heart.
Always. And the tips about how you know, because the mind also poses at the heart many times. It can pose like the heart only. It will sound very spiritual also. That is the spiritual ego. So, how do you know? So that's what I was telling him also, that when who you are is apparent to you, and Atma Gyan is apparent to us, then we are following the heart. It is not possible for the true knowledge about the self to come from the head. There are other clues also, like you'll notice the mind is always rushing. Always rushing. It's always a bit pushy. It's always saying fast, fast, like that. So you can notice these clues, and the heart is just full of love, full of patience, time, it's not rushing. But all these also the mind can confuse us with. The main thing is who you are apparent to you. And we'll come to that, we'll come to those conversations also where this is the foolproof way to be intuitive, as self-knowledge is apparent. When you have Brahma Gyan, then it is not possible to be egotistical.
No, I mean simple example. If it's raining outside,
Yeah.
you feel like going and getting wet in the rain.
Yeah.
But immediately your mind says no, you catch a cold or I mean if it's
Yeah.
winter or.
But that first one is important to determine that I want to, because many times what can also happen is that the mind can play as if it is the heart, and also many times like our emotion, we may feel like there's some excitement. So we may feel like that excitement is our heart. It's not emotion, it's not thought, it's nothing perceivable that way. It's just like, how do you know that you love Shubham even when he's bothering you? He's not listening to your instruction, he's waking up late, he's doing all of that. Suppose he's not. Suppose you're still in your heart, even if outwardly the emotion is anger. So you may say that in my heart I wanted to slap him. No, but that's not in the heart we're talking about. That is the emotion center. That the most of the world calls that heart. It's not the emotional center. But that is, I'm talking about the Sadguru presence within you, the intuitive presence within you. See? And we can never predict what it will want. So, I'm not talking about thank you for bringing that up, because many times it may sound like I'm talking about the same heart that the world is saying. No, I'm not talking about that heart. They are talking about some emotion or excitement or something like that. I'm talking about inner guidance from God itself, Sadguru present.
So in that situation, what should she do?
You should really meet the true heart, not the excitement of emotion, not the cautiousness of the head, but beyond that, what is her true heart telling you? So one of the clues is, I said, are you here? Is your presence apparent to you? That you notice only from your heart. You cannot notice as an object. You cannot think about it. That is also, so you can use that. Is your presence palpable? If your presence is palpable, you're coming from the heart. God's light is palpable. Your Atma is palpable within you. So then you can follow that. You can follow that guidance.
Do you mind elaborating on that a little bit? Like, how do you know that your presence is?
Yes. I'm very happy to. Because this contemplation took me 3 years to actually come to the point of recognizing my being. So I was not lucky at that point to have a living master guiding me. So I was reading I Am That. And Maharaj, Nisargadatta Maharaj was constantly pointing to this. But I don't know, what is this being? What is this Atma? What is this presence? And it just revealed itself. But I have some clues for you. As you're sitting here, try to not be. Don't mind that the question is absurd. Just try it. Don't exist for a moment. Can you do it? What shows you that you have not succeeded? There's an insight. No? It's not just a thought. Yeah? So try with all your might to not be. So you will notice the primordial vibration within you, the presence within you. That is Atma. So many are searching for the Atma, which is that.
But that's difficult anyways to imagine that not you, like, because you are here. I mean, it's
Yeah. So keep every thought aside, keep everything impossible. Just keep that aside. Don't be right now. Abhi karo, abhi. You notice something is there. What is there? You can, so okay, I'll take it slowly. Suppose one by one all of your senses were going. Your sight is going, hearing is going, smell is going, touch is going, taste is going. All of them have gone. But did you go along with any of them? You are still here. That is your presence. It's not something in perception. You cannot think about it. You cannot be rational about it also. It just has to be met. Just like in love, you cannot think about it or explain it to someone or rationalize it. This is the presence from which love comes. True love, not desire or desperation. So my job is to introduce you to this and keep reminding you of this and keep questioning you, saying if God is here, why are you valuing anything else? What else is important? You see, because if it is truly important, it will be important for God also. It will guide you to it. The mind gets very scared. It's like, is he saying I have to leave my family? Is he saying I have to leave? I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that the importance or unimportance of something gets determined only in God's light. In our mind, we don't have the capacity to determine that. So that calls for trust. That calls for trust. To find God and then to live in God's will, you see, can call for an immense faith. So everyone has a boundary to which they will follow. They will have a boundary, like I said, yes, please God bless me, but don't touch my money, or God bless me, don't do this, or whatever that boundary is. But even that boundary we must bring to God itself. And say that my faith extends to this point, my faith extends to here. Please help me with this. Fundamentally, there is no conflict actually, because as what we take ourselves to be, we have to be obedient to one of the two voices. There is no third way of living. We have to be, okay, for sure. So we have to be obedient to the mind, or we have to be obedient to the heart. If you don't like the word obedience, follow at least. No, you can either follow the mind or we can follow the heart. Is there a third way? So that's either. So sometimes you use the car and sometimes you use the scooter, but it's only one of these two. That's what I'm saying. So who would you rather follow? In that way, then obedience doesn't seem that scary. But sometimes it's okay to feel a bit scared because we take ourselves to be too special. Like, how can I be obedient to God even? It's good to beat that up a bit. It's important. But really, what are we saying? It's between two voices, two prompts within us. You see, so there's the prompt from your heart and there's a prompting from your head. You're being guided to follow the right prompting. Now, of course, your head will fight that with all its might. If you know who's giving the hukum, then to follow the hukum cannot seem oppressive. It's in that hukum that the whole galaxy and universe and all its light and sound and play is happening. We say, oh, the sun is shining in that one light, but I won't follow. I don't want to be obedient. I don't like the word hukum. It's not up to you. Then keep following the mind. So as when we take ourselves to be human, we overestimate two things. We overestimate our potential to understand. And that is a bane and a boon to humanity, because it's a bane in the way that we have the capacity to ask the biggest questions. You can ask the biggest question: why did God create this world? Why am I here? What is going to happen? What is the truth about anything? What exists? What doesn't exist? What is a good way to live? You see, so humans ask these questions. Animals don't ask these questions. Birds don't ask these questions. We have the ability to ask these questions. You see? But we do not have the ability in the same source of these questions to have the answers. From where we can ask the question from the mind, the answer cannot come. Why did God create the universe? So then we use theories, oh, it's a Leela, God is just having fun, or it's an evolution, or the unmanifest is enjoying the manifest. We'll provide theories, all the theories are there in religion. But can anyone say that is the true answer? No, because God is much vaster than our mind can understand, than any why can capture. So that is the first. First, that we have the ability to ask the big question, but we don't have the ability to find the answer in the same way. Why I said it's a bane and a boon is bane is that full of confusion and arguments and trouble, belief systems because of that. But it's also a boon because when we realize that these questions are there, but the answers are not available in our head, then we can try to look for another source of insight. That is what the sages said, that they did not think of the Vedas and wrote them. No? It was a Shruti, they said. They heard it. What was that hearing? The heart's voice. When we hear Shruti, we may think, oh, it's coming from some Akashvani or something. It's not like that. It's within you. So they are written from their heart, and it is the same Sadguru presence which guided them. The ones who wrote the Vedas or any spiritual scripture has been written by the same Sadguru presence which is within you, available to you to guide you. It's not a different one. So when we realize that my mind is limited, it can ask the big questions but does not have the capacity to grasp the big answers, then we turn to our intuitive insight. And even the scientists, everybody has done it. Einstein also said that I grapple in my head, but eventually when the answer comes, it comes from my intuition. He said. And every real scientist is truly devoted to this. Even sports people, everybody has said. So to recognize the limited capacity of the mind to find answers is very important. But that leads you to the Sadguru within you, your intuitive insight. So I said that there were two. What was the second one? The second is that as long as we take ourselves to be human, we have to follow one of two voices. The mind's voice or the heart's voice. Now the heart's voice is not always a voice. It's not always a concept. It is just like a natural unfolding in the light of being. You see, that's also to follow God's will. You see? But we are just, what we take ourselves to be actually doesn't exist. But while we take ourselves to be that, we have to be obedient to one of two masters. And we try to be obedient to both and it becomes too difficult. You see, so please get that we have limited capacity in our heads to understand. And secondly, we don't have this privilege of not following a prompting from within. Of course, when the identity drops fully, the me-ness drops fully, then you may feel like there is no actual choice because you are being itself, you are following your own prompting. But we don't have to rush to those sort of conclusions till our life becomes an evidence of that. Following? Imagine that I am offering you the biggest gift in this universe and I have to sell it thrice a week. I'm offering you God's light, God's presence. सोचेंगे
But there was that in I think it's a story about Jesus where he says, if you can cure these, and then
if
he said, yeah, if, and then he said, I think the person prays, and that's my prayer too, is, please help me overcome my disbelief.
I believe, help me overcome my disbelief. At some level, we should be jumping with joy for the possibility of such a discovery. But at another level, it is bound to seem difficult because it is the end of selfishness. It is the end of what we take to be my life, my will. I can feel a bit resistive. That cat example is good because it may feel like you started the search for God as if you're a cat. No? But when you find God, then the cat has to go. I just feel like, but I started this to make the cat happy, to make the cat find God. You cannot be selfish and be with God. In fact, you can't even be selfish about being with God. Can't be selfish, basically.
There is something I'm mildly curious about. It's not a very important question, but so this when you say don't be in that sensation you feel in the chest. I suddenly remembered it's sort of like on those, when you go to these amusement parks, you just go down real quick, a roller coaster or one of those things.
Yeah.
I think it was that same thing, like that
No,
feeling on.
Okay, so when I say don't be, you may experience that vibration, of course, in your chest. And that also is subtler than what the roller coaster experience, at least here, has been. But when I ask you, what is the boundary to that being?
Then it's different.
You see, it's unlimited. But if I asked you how much excitement or fear are you experiencing, you say it's here, it's restricted to here. So that's a big difference. Because you're coming to the vibration of the unlimited being. So you may be perceiving just the tiniest, lifeline that it is giving to us. But its immensity is vast, which is not the case with most of these emotions that we feel, or many of them, any of them.
I think once you spoke about the idea of play or playfulness in dealing with our situations, because many or not most of the time it appears to be way bigger than it is.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I know we just spoke about being open and empty, but even at the pure problem level, even before getting to open and empty, and I'm not saying one shouldn't go there, I mean, that's the journey, but you spoke something about play, I think, I don't remember exactly, or I didn't digest it.
Yeah, many times I've often said, just don't take yourself too seriously. Play with all of this.
I guess what we were talking about, why I was confused, is everybody else around might be telling you that it's a very serious matter.
Yes.
And your intuition
yes.
is telling you that it's not that serious for me.
Yeah.
So having that confidence to...
Yes. Yeah, and it can get you in society, it can get you in trouble. Because I remember one time we had this very difficult business situation, unethical partner. So he did a lot of false cases against us and things like that. So at one time there was some non-bailable warrant against my name, my brother's name, my father's name. And when I heard this news, we were sitting in my father's house. And I heard this and I just started laughing. My brother got so upset. He's like, what are you laughing at in this? I don't know. I just find it so absurd and funny. And I felt in my heart it's all fine. So I just laughed. So it doesn't help you with social skills.
Yeah, I guess the reason why I was asking about it, following up on Shubham's question is, one is your internal strife. Who is the mind, who is the heart, and we talked about that whole satsang today. Sometimes the heart is very clear, but the oppression is from outside. And
but the media is only through the mind.
Yeah.
It cannot. So the ground is only that.
Yeah.
Independent of what's happening in front of you, if it doesn't get you from there.
I just meant that the layer of challenge
Of course.
The game is raised now.
Of course.
Now do you truly believe in your heart?
Of course. And firstly to follow a master itself gives you practice of that, because you will hear contradictions. You will say one day like that, one day like this. You may not like him one day, you may love him one day. It's difficult. So that itself gives us enough practice.
Just curious if you've ever been in a situation where you were facing some oppression from society and you kind of had to act against it because your heart told you to.
See the last part, I was facing oppression from society, and then...
And your heart told you to act against it, and you did so. like, do you think you can share any example, like anecdotes of such
You know,
situations?
some
that you
anecdotes are there or stories, but I feel like constantly. Like even the smallest things. I don't know if some big examples will come, but even about like this beard is just unkempt, his hair is going all over the place. So parents, in-laws, everybody constantly like, just get a trim. Just yeah. So what my heart is, and it's not saying never get a trim or something, but it is so. Um, Anything about work. Sometimes what happens is that in our work, uh, I find myself negotiating from the other guy's side most of the time. So then that can be very troublesome. So because it's not possible here to think from a limited perspective, from an individual perspective, and say, So it's just not possible. So many times I'm like, the negotiation is still on and things like that. I'm like, no, but that's good. That's that. What? So like that it happens. I don't know. These silly examples are coming. So we went to buy a fridge. I think Garima told everyone that day. We went to buy a fridge, and this was a few years back. And she says to the guy, "No, but we'll go there and get it because it's like cheaper over there and things like that." So I said, no, we'll buy it here only. It's okay, we'll buy from him. So also sometimes you get that thing that the response from the other one saying, feeling that, but I had a little more in my pocket, we could have done that dance a bit more. But oppression. I don't know. Like if you talk to my family and friends and things, they will say I'm very stubborn. So I don't know if that is in response to something. All of the satsang feel like I'm very sweet and nice. But your heart makes you stubborn. In the sense that it's clear, then there's no like
negotiation.
It's just like no. Like, no. You keep saying no, then people feel like you're very stuck on your thing. But you all have to come from your heart when you do this. Yeah? You can't just like go tell your families now. No. The strength has to come from your heart, not from some mental conviction.
I see that if something gets revealed in my heart, I don't really have to do anything, it just does it, kind of does itself,
Mostly.
It is the kind of.
Mostly.
If life starts as moving a different.
Mostly it does. That's why I said that as we are open and empty, most of your life will unfold in the light of God's presence without any resistance. It's all fine. But and I feel like that's what Gopala's point also was. But don't discount the fact that you could get a chop from within, or you could get a pointing from within, which may not seem easy to the mind. No. Because if you are going to be used as instrument to share God's light, you must first be willing to follow 100% yourself. So we cannot set boundaries to God and say, no, God just unfolds naturally. He can never guide you, but He is guiding you like this through this mouth. So He can guide you from your heart as well. And that intuitive insight which is available to the sages, and they've all told us that they were guided by God. So why would it not be available to us? These are distinctions which our mind makes. They're not true for God. God is not saying, oh, this one is sage, this is not my child, I will not speak to.
Okay, can I say again? So there was inside, it said it loud and clear. It was like, no, nothing.
It was yourself apparent to you. That is
Yeah, it was like this voice which said, you're the light in which you're not this, you're the light in which everything is seen. But after that, something you started doing there, looking there, looking here, there, wherever, right? But when you started saying that I'm not following that, and I mean, I feel that once it was said to me quite clearly, and it was undoubted, it felt completely correct. You got rid of the mask. But you're still not following it. And you said, check, then why am I not following that light? You know, I mean, why am I not following that instruction? Why am I still believing the mind's voice? And even when you say that I'm not a me anymore, you know, like yesterday, I was like, why is there still a doubt? I mean, if you said it, like you're the voice of this intuition, then why should I not listen to it? No, I mean, in that sense, it's now hitting
exactly.
through that. Then why am I still not believing?
Exactly.
And why am I not doing that?
Exactly.
No?
So, let's see if we can provide a simple metaphor for this. So, there are two roads in which we can walk. There are two roads. One is the mind's way, no? And one is God's way. The mind's way, because of habit, we have taken to be my way. That's my way. Frank Sinatra and all that, right? So that way is the idea that this way I get to live on my own terms. But there is no such thing as my own terms. It is the mind's terms which we have taken to be our terms. You see? The other way which seems too distant and difficult is actually God's way, which is truly my way. Because I am one with God in reality, which is your way. You are one with God in reality. But that seems to be alien, distant, difficult, full of sacrifice, full of needing faith, all of that. So this is the turnaround that the mind has been able to sell to us, and that is the potency of Maya. You see, Maya seems potent under the obedience of the mind. So that which is truly my way seems a difficult road to travel. You see, the one that is the mind's, the limited voice, the ego's ideas, that seems to be my way. You see, so now to switch from that, moving from head to heart, you see, what would we love? We would love for things to be my way, but with God's help. You know, ego's way, but with God also helping. That is the best. You see? So even when we say, let thy will be done, we are actually saying, it'll be really nice if it's my will and you can help. You know? So we want a God-assisted life. We want a God-assisted life, not a God-dictated one. And that one that wants that is not your reality. That which can be opposed to God's will can be who? Can it be real? Not real. Be careful of boredom. Thank you for pointing that out. Boredom is mostly an alien concept here. Like, how can you be bored of your own company? That's what I'm saying. If you knew who was here, your life would change. Boredom is what? You're sitting alone, nothing to do. Best. You get time with God, quality time with God. How can you be bored? Yeah? Of course, kids your age, of course, my kids constantly, I am bored. They have everything at their disposal, all the consoles, every TV channel, everything. I'm bored. That just expressing a resistance and dissatisfaction with what is, what you are, as well as what is showing up. It's very subtle because it seems very harmless. Like boredom. I'm not smoking, I'm not drinking, I'm not doing drugs, I'm just bored. But many times with this boredom itself, it becomes a fertile ground for the ego and also many times to bad habits also. You just feel like I need to bring some more excitement into this. I need to get some more. So what are we saying? Some perception have to change. It's not enough. But how does this touch you anyway? If you're happy with what is here, and when you start living with this, you'll see that boredom is alien concept. So if somebody tells me like for the next 1 week there's nothing at all going to happen in your life, I'm very happy. Very happy. Say
Why are humans under the illusion that a God dictated life is worse than a God assisted life?
This why question is no real answer. The who question has an answer. So you have to change one alphabet from the Y to the O. Once we can determine who it is, then all the Y's can be seen through. So why should I open this door and not that door? It all depends on who you are. Who is the one that has to open the door? And that's why I said that if you're a giraffe, the answer will be different. If you're a rabbit, the answer will be different. If you're a mongoose, the answer will be different. So why does a giraffe have a long neck? It's a different answer than why does a snake have a long neck or body. I'm stretching the metaphor really hard, but it's first important to determine who we are. And our mind hates the who question and it loves the why question. But what is the more important one? All the whys depend on the who. So who are we? Then I'm giving you this answer because I don't want to give you the lame ones, the tame ones. You know the lame ones mostly. It's the design of the Leela. It is meant to be compulsive, just like the director directs a movie to be relatable in the same way that in the design of this play. So that's one answer. Then the second answer is that only when the metal is truly crushed does it start to shine. And the third answer is just an evolution moving towards a higher love. All of these things. It'll take away the why question, but it's all rubbish. It's like rubbish. If we settle for any of those, it's fine, provisionally. But I really want to push all of you beyond the mind's tendency to say, why? We don't even know why we exist. Why? Why am I? Why am I? We don't know the why. And because you are, all of this is. But I would suggest before the why question, let's go to the who question. Who is here? Why can't we answer this one? Observe how the mind is attracted to knowing why and runs away from who. Just one letter different. Because we rely on our story building based on seeming rationality. Why? Cause and effect is something that has got us by the throat. Why does something happen? What is the cause of this? What is the effect of this cause? I'm pointing you to something which is beyond time. So all this cause and effect collapses.
What would you say about a mind-assisted life but not a mind-dictated life?
Terrible, horrible stuff. The snake is not designed to assist you. It's not Alexa or Siri. It is designed to pretend to be a friend, but to dominate and to rule. At least I have to say from my experience. You know what happens many times that in America they have these they're like super bored, so they've taken like tigers and lions to be pets, and they feel like they can tame them, and many of them they like love them, they hug them and things like that. But there are many cases where the tiger has killed them also. So why would I suggest that to you? When you have God in your heart, why do you want to get assisted by the mind? It's only the problem that the God will not serve you. Yeah? What's the problem is God's guidance. What's the problem in God's guidance? It will not serve the idea of me. It will not serve the ego. All my love to all of you. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai.
Sadhguru Shri Ananta Ji ki
Jai. Guru Kripa ke Guru.
So the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, I look.
Yeah.
It's just lack of faith because what now is being revealed here just seems so completely alien to what, say, the mind is saying, and I'm just not trusting this one. I mean, this was said very clearly, and when it said it's not doubt, but still there's more faith in that old voice than and you keep saying, no, that faith I never understood till now. I never understood when you kept saying, I just felt I had faith. I swear I have so much faith, you know. And I'm not having that faith to listen to what is being actually said to me. So today, just now, I mean, something is just like, you know, like, something just. Oh.
Life is a constant lesson in faith.
Ananta-ji, what I was saying, that there's a tendency here to surrender to only. And although I'm so blessed to, to enjoy my presence and being and my work, suddenly, like when the way ended, the mind wants to celebrate and spoil the party, so I give it to you.
Very good, very good.
And there's also this great tendency for play in me. That also I give to you. I feel, with all this beauty that I enjoy with you, it is a big tendency to play. That also I give to you.
Very good, very good. Very good. I'm so happy you spot this and surrender it. It's beautiful. The mind can hold on to some trump cards, some trump cards, and like if it finds an opportunity. But but that means like this. Very good, spot. Very good.
Grace is beautifully running my life. And in every way, in manifestation as well as the inner content, vigilance is lacking sometimes in Ananta-ji.
No, but this is very good. To spot these things is very beautiful vigilance. And why is Nitin upset?
Huh?
Huh? The soap thing. What happened is it's funny that I have to explain this, but so I heard, like, I saw him from there, I heard him from here, and just it moved like that, and then I just forgot that he had said, but then he didn't ask. Nothing had to do with any of that.
Oh, yeah, the soap.
Then something else.
Yeah.
Which is
It's just mostly self-loathing, and the patterns are recognized. There's a story that's been going on for a couple of years now. Like, why you asked me to actually imitate or do the impression of Osho. Because part of my psyche, like the second day or something, when I came back, there was like an idea you did that because you needed me to see that the way that my mind works sometimes, usually during conversations or even without speaking, is that I actually twist the situation that's actually going on, and I begin by trying to confuse the other person. So it's this kind of No, but it's true. But it plays out like that, and so I've been like reading about on myself that I have these kinds of habits, but it kind of goes away. I don't really look into it, but it comes back.
There's one reason why I asked you. You do it well. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I figured. But the thing is like I'm self-loathing, beat myself up about it.
It's like something maybe finds a track like that, which then feels like.
Yeah, this is just one of them. It'll take up anything actually. Like it creates a plot about this is exactly why that person said it like yesterday. And then it's like
you can just say it out like that. It's good. Saying it out helps.
Largely untruthful. Basically, that's about it.
Yeah.
Untruthfulness that comes out of this one.
Acha. You're judging yourself to be someone who communicates largely untruths.
I don't know what the word is. Disingenuous? Not
disingenuous.
Yeah, ingenuous is what the word is, but yeah.
Disingenuous, yes.
Something like that. Basically,
but that, like,
the story of the person.
In any case, like,
It's always
like this, as long as we are playing with the mind, it is what is the genuineness in the mind.
The person's always disingenuous.
And if you're from the heart, there's no other judge of genuineness but the heart. Switch.
So it seemed like I had to actually sort of shut down everything. Sort of that's why I was in that kind of a mode to try and prevent myself getting triggered or going into any sort of narration. So like I had to build a wall sort of.
Yes, but I'm giving you a more attractive way now, in a way, for the last few months, which is to tell you that God is here. Just leave everything. Go to God. How does it matter how you are, what you need to do, when you will do it, what happened when? God is here. See, don't do that.
Every time you say these things, actually, that pointer isn't just the sound of your voice itself. It's like an immediate wake up right now. It's like a friend I've forgotten about, reminding me about who I was and things like that. And there's like immediate like naturalness and obviousness that comes out. I mean, realized right after. But
you see that is very good. It's very good. But it is secondary. Yes. Secondary to the fact that God is here. It doesn't matter what happens to us in that. But it's just like, God is here. Krishna is here. Ram is here. Jesus is here. Allah is here. Here. How long after Krishna's arrival will we start taking our vital stats? What is it called? Not vital stats.
Science.
Science. So it can come like that first. Yeah, God is here. Very nice. Yeah, and then quickly switch back to me. Okay, what does this mean for me? Nothing for you. God is here.
I'll say what comes up. As
It
you
is,
see,
yeah.
it's like a millisecond right after that.
Yeah.
The voice that catches me is this. It's a very disapproving voice that requires me to prove that God is here. Like that, very very disapproving voice. It's so it kind of puts me in a position of very defeated. So that's the identity I'm caught in. Oh no.
But this we must talk about because this channel also had the same thing the other day and we had quite a. It's good to get it out. Just but he's not here for me. Or like I will never find him. All your other kids are finding him. Maybe true for them, but I don't. Like that. I'm happy to have those
So over the last few years, every time a pointing comes up, and I say, when these things come up, I let whatever solution has to play out by itself. Like seeing through that shape, the suggestion. So it feels
no,
like
but that's too complicated. Because maybe there's some diffidence or you don't want to bring it out or expose or whatever. It's finding an alternative track which seems too convoluted. What I'm saying is God is here. You're saying that this voice comes. If you believe that voice, only then it is trouble. So when you believe it, say it.
That's how I'm trying to build a strategy to not be able to believe that because it
No,
catches
don't
me all
do
the
that.
time.
If you're believing it, say it. What does it say? What's the trouble?
It says I have no idea what I'm talking about.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
But I do.
Yes.
It will attack me also, of course. But for now, if it's saying that, that is good. So I am telling you God is here. And then I'm saying that if it is not apparent to you, then let's do this. Let's find it. Let's see if it is true. Have I spoken about worthiness, deserving, whether you will get it, not get it? None of that. None of those are conditions. So now, what is your insight into this statement that God is here?
When you say God is here, it's different from when you're talking about something else because it's a separate thing. It's a separate. When you say God is here, it's an all-inclusive, the reality.
Yes. So you're confirming.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Good. So then what worthiness is left if you can already confirm?
It's like I'm being pulled into a fight. I don't want to fight, but I am still getting pulled back into it.
Okay. What are the contours of the fight? On one hand, you are having an insight that this is true. God is here.
Yeah.
On the other side,
I'm going to end up using. Okay, no, just
say it.
The voices that come up are selling ideas of who I am, what this God thing is all about, and to be.
Let's do it in real time. God is here.
Yeah.
You see it. You have an insight into it.
No.
You are here.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Because I'm using the proof. I am the proof myself. That's all.
Are you inferring that?
No, I don't know how to point to myself.
Yeah, but insight is clear.
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. So, this you presence is God's presence. And you don't need proof because I've said it is, but suppose you needed proof, you can check. It is limitless, it has no name, it has no form, it has no desire, it has no aversion. Yeah.
See, the thing is, the arguments for the formless part and objects and all, it needs some basis. Like when you're talking about an object, like visually or even like a thought construct, right? And this not being a form.
See, it's okay.
A lot of thoughts, I have no idea what I'm talking about. So, I know what I'm talking about.
Yes, let me see if I can help. Saying to conclude the formlessness of something, there must be a basis, and you don't have the basis for that.
No. The reason why I brought that up was because that I needed to build an argument to dismiss the actual thoughts that are coming.
But what I'm saying is that real time, now. Doesn't matter what you had to do, what you did, where you are, none of that is important. Now, you are here.
Yeah.
This presence is God's presence. Okay, so far?
Trying to hold on to it.
How? With what instrument?
By dismissing everything else that's coming up.
What is that everything else?
Thoughts, basically.
Yeah, good. That's good. You're doing the right thing then. You're doing. You're just holding on to this, dismissing, but not forcefully. If it's forceful also, it's okay. But you're basically letting it come and go. Yeah? You're fighting, you're evaluating, you are false because this, you're like that. Don't do that, just let them come and go. They're going anyway, no? It's like the bird flew into the house, it's flying out anyway, but you were saying you should not have come, you're wrong because you came, because of that. It's flying out. You don't have to do any of that effort.
Okay.
Now?
I'm still here.
So this presence is God's presence. Nothing else is important. Tell me when something comes. Nothing else is important. This presence is God's presence. You have met it, and therefore your life has ceased to be a zombie life. Because you cannot meet this if you're obsessed with your self, your false self, your likes and dislikes, your desires and aversion. So this itself is a beautiful meeting. Now with the force of even my words to tell you that this is that. What else, what other problem, what other fight, what other situation could be relevant?
All of them are thoughts.
Yeah. So then they don't have any attractive power then.
No, they do.
So which theme is still attractive? Because this is the strangeness of Maya. This is the Leela. God is being found. And our mind is judging, sitting and making conclusions, and still that seems attractive. How is it possible?
General theme is about who I am in my life, like projections to the future and things like that. Dream, kind of.
None of that is relevant in the light of God's presence. Nothing that appears in this world is relevant. None of, especially what you think about it, is completely irrelevant. And when it pertains to your life, what you call your life, you have nothing to do with it. It is the life of this present. You have nothing to do with that which you call your life. It is the life of this light. It is the life of this presence. The you that you take yourself to be doesn't exist. This light you have found, that exists. So whose life is this? It's only this one. You don't have to infer also. I'm just pointing to what is. So this life is for this one. Right? So don't take it to be your life now. That is surrender. How you have to be, what you say, what you don't say, whether you're liked or disliked, whether you're being true, whether you're being false, leave all of that. It's like if suddenly one day you realize that the sun is not out in the sky, it's living in your heart. The sun is not out in the sky, it's living in your heart. Would you then go after all the small things and my life and all of those things? No, the sun has come to live in your heart. But what I am pointing to is that in whose light even the sun rises, much beyond the sun. That is living in your heart. And we are wasting time on peanuts.
What?
Say, huh?
I know this.
Yeah. Very good. Yes, you know it. All of us know it here. But this is the power of Maya. That the most unessential, unimportant things seem like they are priority. But what about this? I am telling you that, and I am speaking literally, not poetically, that in whose light the sun shines is in your heart. It's in your heart. So what else can be important?
It's not even like a firm, confirmed thought, it's not even firm. It's just like a sense that I've already doubted it. Like
nothing like that. This thought is telling you the story. Right now you are. No?
Yeah.
Now tell me real time. As the thought comes, you tell me. Because the thought can be very intricately designed. The mind is a master sculptor. It can design with the right bait. You see, it's auditioning for your attention and belief. So obviously it will put the right bait. No? And like a fish, you will grab it.
Which is why I've taken on the project of I need to shine light on it really strongly to expose the
Only
entire
take on
structure.
projects I give you.
Okay.
I give you this project. No, don't take it. Nothing. You tell me, if you take on, you tell me I've taken this project. Okay. So, right now, God is here. Now, no project, doesn't matter what you've done in the past, nothing. I'm telling you that the thought will be designed intricately like bait for your attention and belief. And your job is to not buy into it. Don't get baited. That's all. Now tell me. Real time. Don't get baited. That's the only job. Don't get enamored by it. Don't get amused by it. Come and let it go. It has zero value.
That's thought about trying to grab onto the you were saying that. What was the project again?
Just God is here, your presence is here. Now your mind will beat you with intricate thoughts which will audition for your attention and belief. Your project is not to get beaten by them. Let it come.
I'm laughing.
That's okay.
It's very simple time. It's like a tendency.
Nothing can stay. Let it go. Unless your Sadguru presence, your intuition is telling you.
Just gonna expose it.
Yeah.
Am I harming you anyway?
No, of
Okay.
course not. Oh. Just let that go. Don't not harming me at all. This is what I'm here for. Don't conclude. Don't make a judgment about anything. Don't determine the nature of anything.
There are fears that come up in between.
They come and go. Open and empty doesn't mean things can't come.
And after a long time, I can see you happy here. And there's so much happening, oblivious to it.
So what is the approach we should take? Because we will believe a thought. We will believe a thought. What should be the approach? Don't believe the next one, that's all. But if you go on that road to, I should not have, that was just a thought, why did I need to fix this by doing this project.
It's no project.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Surprising and all this. The thought that comes up is this about, projection about the future.
Future of the body is death.
You're bringing up the word faith and everything. What if do you need faith? That's how you should live.
I'm telling you how to live. This is how to live. For a while it will feel like work, like effort. After a while it will be natural. That's all. So when we talk about sacrifice, not wanting anything for the me, not any of that, because without defanging that, I'm finding that these thoughts you still take to be true somewhere. So I'm just chopping them away in Satsang collectively. The thoughts of pride, thoughts of specialness, thoughts of all of these things can be attractive. So that's why humility, that's why sacrifice, all of that. When all of you start buying like just thoughts which are too humble, then I'd say all of you are so special, so special.